Good morning, Eddie G's Music World, back for another show. This is May 6th, 2019. It's funny, I do the show, try to do it every week. There's certain things that happen, I can't do it. Every once in a while, a guy falls into my show that I don't, it's just a bit of a surprise. So, what do I get? I get a 10-year-old boy he analyzes Batman videos, like not cartoons, but like action videos. So I don't know who this guy is. He says, "How's my voice?" He follows, he signs up for my broadcast. He subscribes. So I subscribe to him because I don't have a lot of subscriptions. So I'd like to encourage the kid. So his question is, uh, what does he say? How's my voice? Can I how's my singing voice? Can I get it an octave lower? Can I lower my octave? And I say, no, I don't know. I know. I say, I just don't know. I heard him talking on his videos, but I couldn't advise him. He might be listening to this. His name might be Bobby or something. And then I asked, do you want to be on my show? I can try to talk to you about things, but he said no, he wasn't interested. So that's fine. Just a bit of a story that comes out, a little bit of information. Another thing, it's an incredible thing that happened. I was walking down the street and I saw a guy really roughing up another guy. And I broke up the fight. I said, you better stop it. Stop hurting that other person. It's not fair to them. And then I called him a name. I said, you're the number 2 bad dude. And then he said, what, man? Your mama's mama said that about me too. I said, look, dude, you're the number 2 bad dude. And he said, why you calling me number 2 bad dude? I said, because you're not this. You're not this. Oh my God, it shows it upside down. The camera is showing it upside down, and I got juice in there. So I cannot flip this cup over. I'm sure the geniuses who know how to do camera work can figure out how to put my camera upside down or something. But no, I told the guy, this is the Greekster. He's the number 1 bad dude. So that means you're number 2 bad dude. So I got my cup and I've got this. I don't know where to put this. That's the problem, man. Here, let's flip it up. See? Got to put it upside down to be right side up. Number 1 bad dude sticker. I don't know where to put this. I just don't know where. I could just stick it anywhere, but I got it. So if you want to encourage the bad dude, number 1 bad dude, watch his show. He's a pro. Okay? And I watch it. If I don't listen to it the night of the show, I listen to it the next day because I'm on meds, man. I'm on this thing called Lyrica for my leg pain. And that shit makes you a little dizzy and you start to fade out. Anyway, that's the number 1 bad dude promo for the day. So I'm going to have a drink of the juice. It's orange juice, reduced sugar. Hey, man, that juice caught in my throat. I'm starting to talk like the guy, man. Your mother's mother. That's it. I don't want to copy the man because, he's an original, and I'm not trying to be him. I just I just try to help the guy. He doesn't make a lot from these products. I mean, he's telling me he makes $1 from this, $2 from that. He's not making a lot, but I figure if he makes $3-4 from me, at least it's something. And he has other fans, and they'll buy from him too. And maybe one day, when Howard Stern retires in 2020, if he really retires, because we all know Howard will say something like, wow, I could retire at 67, right? But then all these guys, these 70 people that work for me, will have no job. So that's been his story for 2 or 3 contracts. So in 2005, 2006 to 2011, he signed, and that was the big deal. But then in 2011, oh, I'm going to keep going because, all these employees are going to have no money if I quit. Then he said the same thing in 2016, I think it was. So, if I quit, I mean, these guys, they won't have work. They're not going to find work. They're going to be broke. They're going to be hungry. There's no show like mine. I don't know how I'm going to, I got to keep working to keep them happy. Of course, he makes himself a few $100 million every 5 years. So it's not like he's doing it for them. He's doing it for them maybe to a point. Maybe he does care about JD and Robin. Like Robin's older than him, so Fred, all these guys, because it's pretty much sure. Fred is about 61 or 62 in 2 years. He'll be 64 when Howard's next contract is up for grabs. Robin will be about 68 or 69, and the rest of the people there are younger, so they're going to still have, like Shuli and Benji and all these guys are going to be in their early 50s, and all these writers in their 30s, and assorted other characters making a living off of Howard will have a good 20, 30 years left of work to do. They're not rich like him. They're making 150, some of these people, but 150 is taxed at a high rate, so they maybe end up with 80. And then if you live in and around New York, that's not going to go far. That's expensive lifestyle. So that was my work to do for now. I will get to the bottom, the end of the top 500 greatest albums of all time. One last thing, I found this on YouTube. The number 1 and number 2 hits, songs that got to number 1 and songs that got to number 2 in England in the 60s and the 70s. And I'm telling you, man, those people have a whole bunch of different songs that they love that didn't make it here. Brotherhood of Man, they must have had 5 number 1s or 2s. Slade must have had 5 or 6. The Sweet had about 4, 5, or 6 number 1 or number 2 songs. Who else? There's this band Mud. I've never heard of these guys. They must have had 4 top 2 hits, 4 or 5. So I did hear little bits of them. Some of them I've never heard before. So it's amazing how when you go to England, you hear a whole set of new songs. If you go back to that era, of course. Now I don't know what's going on. They must all be grooving to Ariana Grande or Beyonce or who knows. I haven't looked at the British charts currently. Well, let's get to the business at hand. The top 500 albums of all time. We are getting to the end of this. I will have to come up with other things for the future. Well, I see in front of me probably one of the best-selling albums of all time, and it's Thriller by Michael Jackson, so they had to put it in. Pretty much can't avoid it. In the pop realm, it was one of these albums. They banged out 7 top hits, top 10 maybe, or top 40. That's pretty hard to do. Oh, an email. Billie Jean, we all know these things. I did see the Jacksons around 1983 at the Olympic Stadium, but more people were watching one Jackson and not as many were watching the other brothers. So, okay, yeah, it was a huge album. And yes, we all know his sister just got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I was watching a TV show called Good Times from the 70s, and there she was, young Janet Jackson, in that TV show, cute little girl. And that about time, that's when I met her, because I met her in 1978. And the show was just finishing or still on, I'm not sure. But I knew the show, so I recognized her, and of course I knew she was a Jackson. So there's only a few of those. There's one gone, of course. Number 19, Van Morrison, Astro Weeks. Of course, I mean, this guy, when he announces he's coming to Montreal Jazz Festival or whatever, Place des Arts, the seats are gone before an hour is up because he's a legend guy. He's brown-eyed girls on this. I mean, the guy's just not a top 40 type of guy. Very distinctive and unique approach to music. one of these moody type of guys, and older, getting old, of course. Can I guess number 18? I have not looked. Who's really famous that we have not heard from yet? Or not? You're going to have to say Dylan, because they love Dylan on this thing. Let's see. Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run. Okay, not Dylan, but... So this was like the album that came out during, like he had just signed his contract on the roof of a car, on the hood of a car, where he gave like 50% of his earnings to his manager. And later on, of course, Bruce had to go to court and buy his way out of that deal, because the manager he fired was still claiming half his money in perpetuity. But he went to court, signed a settlement deal, and gave the guy a few million to. I mean, if they would have taken half his money forever, he would have been like regretting. I mean, that deal would have screwed him badly. Anyway, this is all his. This is all his stuff that it's written about his time and life in New Jersey, and it's all been said before. So I'll move on. Let's see. Nirvana, Nevermind. Okay. This killed, kind of started to put the death to the heavy metal scene, Nirvana. Did not see them live, but I saw, like, I don't know why, it's one of those things, because the friends that liked this band I wasn't really talking to, maybe, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I never went. It's not the end of the world. They came to Fun Electric in like 1990, before they had their hit, or even 89, which is a small little bar I saw on YouTube. And they also came to Verdun Auditorium, and they might have come to the Bell Center or the Forum at the time. I don't know about that. But this was kind of the switch over to the grunge scene. This was one of the early transitions, and tragic situation. So we know all about those things. I don't need to tell you all about it. I always liked that sweater he wore when he did that live thing. Okay, next, let's see. Who didn't we hear from? Who is this guy going to freak out about? Whoever keeps his lists. What would be 16 to 16? Oh, go with the band. Bob Dylan. I said Bob Dylan 2 guesses ago. Should have stuck to my guess. Blood on the Tracks. Tangled Up in Blue. I like that song. I think about that song occasionally. Who knows? Probably is divorced. All that was kind of involved in all this, and Dylan has that career. Massive. The guy's still going strong in his late 70s. Don't understand it, but okay. Who could be number 15? Now, I've been saying Dylan a long time, and then he pops up two albums later. We're going to have to go with Led Zeppelin. The Jimi Hendrix Experience. Are you experienced? What do I say about this guy? The Grigster makes good juice. Yeah. I'm sure Creeper Freak would cut me up a good steak now if I called him up and send it to me. It was funny. I saw in 1965 he was in a band. These two guys were singing in the front, and in the back was like 8 musicians, like a clarinetist, a saxophonist, a trumpeter, 1 or 2 guitars, and Jimi Hendrix was starting to grow out his hair, but it wasn't like long, like big like it later on was. Probably they told him, you can't be a hippie on here. You got to shorten it a bit. So you can't really hear his style that much, but you could see him in there. They cut to him a little bit. Of course, they didn't know he'd become a big star. What else can I add to this guy's career? Anyway, this was the album, the time, 1967, and nobody thought he'd only have a few years left. Same thing with Nirvana. Number 14, who Should I stick with Led Zeppelin? I'm thinking, what is this? Does this guy even care about Led Zeppelin? How about The Who? Let's guess The Who. The Beatles. Well, of course. Why shouldn't I think of the more obvious ones? George Martin produced. Late in their career, Abbey Road, of course. My sister bought this when it came out, and she came home, stuck the needle on the album, and I was only 9, and I remember talking to my friend Steven Singer, not the guy with the jewelry. And I went to his house, and I think he had the album too, and we played the record, and we were quite impressed. And maybe, I don't know, was it a good thing they ended? Probably a good thing. They weren't getting along anyway. 13. It's not going to be Men at Work or Men Without Hats, I can tell you that. Stick to The Who. But I'm probably thinking I'm going to go with the Beatles again. Maybe he's just going to pile up Beatle records from here on in. The Velvet Underground and Nico, the Velvet Underground. Didn't see that coming, but not shocked. Well, it's all been said before. Lou Reed, Nico, all these like Andy Warhol influenced songs, and hung out with him. Famous for not being famous is how I would describe the Velvet Underground, because everybody's critically freaked out over them. But when I look up album sales for a lot of these MC5 type bands and New York Dolls and the Ramones, I see minimal album sales. So they didn't catch on. They didn't have hits, but didn't matter. They still had a cult following, so they kept on. Rolling Stones number 12. Can I get one right, please? Miles Davis, kind of blue. Not much to be said about Miles Davis because I don't really know his music. So I'm going to move on reasonably, not fast out of disrespect to Miles, but I just never sat down and listened to it. So it could be amazing. I don't know. Number 11, stick to the Rolling Stones. Another going to come. Elvis Presley, The Sun Sessions. These were early sessions. I know that other people like Roy Orbison were on the early years. Charlie Rich. Other people, there's another one. Sam Phillips, of course, was the producer. This is from 1954. Okay, That's All Right. Mama was on this. Other songs, Mystery Train. Good Rockin' Tonight, he did cover. And look, the guy was in the Army, came out of the Army, had less hits, but had a great career. Number 10, Rolling Stones. Until I get one. I might be saying Rolling Stones the whole time. The Beatles. Fuck. Okay, enough. Kind of a weird album, the White Album. I liked it all. I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't good, but it showed that they were out of the mainstream music at that time. Because I remember hearing songs about pigs and Sexy Sadie and Happiness is a Warm Gun, double album. I was in camp, and I remember the counselors were really into it. They were like 17, and I was like 10 or 11. And it was the album had recently come out, so it was kind of new. I think I was 10. It was probably a year and a half old by that time. I remember them playing it, and I didn't have the amazing like I liked music, but I wasn't as into it as I would be later. But I was pretty. I was saying, wow, that takes a lot of talent to come up with these odd songs. Well, my guitar gently weeps. Of course, Eric Clapton solo. Harrison wrote it, I think. A lot of people don't give Harrison enough credit, but he did get usually a song on each album out of respect for the guy, and he came up with some great ones. Don't Pass Me By was an original Star song. So let's go to number 9. Stones. Bob Dylan again? It's enough of this guy. Did he invent music, for Christ's sake? La, la, la. Okay, we all know Al Cooper did the organ on this. It's not something I have a lot to say about. I want you so bad. I want you. I really want you. Imagine if I like got on my knees and begged Bob to let me sing a song, and he put me on stage and I sang like that. Would they boo me off stage? Or maybe because he doesn't sing well, nobody would care. Just like a woman should. You gotta serve somebody. Serve somebody. You may call me Bibby and you may call me Libby, but you still gotta serve someone. Okay, that's it. The Clash, London Calling, number 8. I think I've said this story 2, 3 times how I saw them live right after this album came out, and that was a punk masterpiece night of seeing these guys full of energy running around. By the way, number 7 is the Rolling Stones. I see it now, but I've been saying it the whole time, so I finally got one right. But the Clash, people go ballistic over this album. London Calling, my neighbor Sander Rosen, he went crazy. London Calling. Oh no, Sandinista. He used to go crazy. Sandinista. Did you hear this album, Sandinista? It's like I heard some of it, but I wasn't blown away by it. But this album, London Calling, is a great song. I had a friend. I'm not friends with anymore. The Clash. They're not very good. They didn't have any talent. Blah 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 blah. And I said, listen, you only listen to Rock the Casbah and Train in Vain. You only know 2 songs. So why are you saying they didn't have any talent? They probably put out 40 songs and you only know 2. It's not because the other ones weren't good. It's because you're too lazy to listen to them. So here it is. My Rolling Stones call finally came in. Exile on Main Street. That's another. That's the album that people were really always like freaking out over. Any juice left? Oh yeah. Go to the last drop. If I had a mother, I'd say, "Here's to you, mother's mother." Okay. Happy was Keith Richards singing. Tumbling Dice, great song. I think Linda Ronstadt covered that. Just trying to think. Yeah, I think so. And it's a double album, and this is one of those things where 1972, a lot was said about it. I haven't sat and listened to back to front. I don't do that anymore. I mean, I did that when I was young, when albums were the thing. But what am I going to do? Take 2.5 hours out of my life, or 2 hours, or 90 minutes, and track to track, listen to it. I got other things to do. Number 6. So my Rolling Stones pick has to be Let Go, because I don't think they're going to be pulling that anymore. Back to the Beatles. Can they just be that narrow-minded and predictable? Yeah, I'll say Beatles. Marvin Gaye, what's going on? Why not? I mean, listen, I always liked the songs that he did. He had a very soulful style. Mercy Me, Mercy Me, what's going on? I can say one thing for my dad. Dad, thanks for not shooting me in the head, because I drove him nuts. So it's a miracle he didn't kill me. But he didn't. I'm still here to excite you and enlighten you with my musical talking too. I spoke to a guy who does a podcast, and he said he really liked my show. And I said, could you blend me into the podcast? But I won't mention the company's name in case they actually are interested. But he says, oh yeah, I love your show. But then I looked at all the people viewing me, and then there's almost nobody. So maybe he did listen, maybe he didn't. I don't really know. But I mean, I mostly need help with the technical things. Like, I won't go into the same diatribe, but there's a lot of stuff to do to make your show really exciting, which the Grigsters actually tried to explain to me. But since I have the attention span of a mouse, I just was like, yeah. I tried to, I clicked around and I tried to understand it, but I haven't picked up on the methods yet. So it's kind of just me and the microphone and the camera for now. The Beatles again. So I did say they're coming up, but they were one after, but pretty obvious. Rubber Soul, yeah, drive my car, blah, 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 Norwegian Wood. Sitar used in the album and the song Norwegian Wood. Can bet your ass it was George that played that. Fuzz Bass, Think for Yourself. I don't even know that song. Here's Bob Dylan again. Here, number 4. Could they be stupid enough to say the Led Zeppelin 4 because of Stairway to Heaven is number 1? Because I haven't seen a lot of Zeppelin lately on this. Highway 61 Revisited. Wow. They love Dylan, man. Then how come I didn't like his show? How come I sat there and I looked at my watch in 1983 and I couldn't wait to get the hell out of there? He was like, we were high up. We had like 25 rows up type of thing. And this guy was just like pacing a little. Yeah, yeah. I love his songwriting. The guy's brilliant. He's written great songs, but man, was I bored. I don't think I liked more than 2 minutes of that show. But everybody freaks out over the guy. Number 3. Let's say it's Bowie. We haven't seen that guy there. The Beatles again. My God, you're so predictable. Well, I mean, I said the Beatles will be filling up the top part. This is number 3 on Eddie G's Music World. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. Was there an amazing song on here? I'm sure there was 10 because Tomorrow Never Knows is on here. I mean, I'll give it to them. I mean, they were flexible. They didn't write only top pop songs. They wrote songs that were sad songs and weird songs like Zaxman, and they could write hits like Simply. I mean, they just churned them out like nothing. But they also had like odd stuff. But there's so much said about these guys. Okay, I'll ask the audience. What do you think number 2 is? Because we really are getting down to the end. Eddie G's Music World, May 6th. I'll have to say Beatles again because this fucking guy's pretty obsessed with them. The Beach Boys, Pet Sounds. Wow. Okay, we all know the stories. Brian Wilson had this project. The other guys didn't get in on the deal. Mike Love, they didn't really think it was really as great as he did. Was that this one? Well, that might have been some other album. I think it was this one. Oh, no, this is the one that everybody... There was another album that they did that was too weird. They didn't like it. I don't know what the hell it's called. Let's see if I can guess what Caroline No was on this. But it's the album that all these big acts found brilliant. That I know. It was just genius stuff. Sgt. Pepper came out after, and they tried to copy sound like that type of thing. So here we are. We're at number 1. Could it be Led Zeppelin 4? Because, that's got Stairway on it. So I'm trying to get in this guy's head. Or is it just a Beatles album again? It's one of those two. Let's try to think like this guy. What albums did he do? Revolver, Rubber Soul. They did the White Album. Is there a Beatles album that I didn't think of that this fucking guy's going to stick at number 1? Abbey Road. Is it Let It Be? Is he so easy to figure out that it's Let It Be? I mean, come on, man. I'm trying to guess. Led Zeppelin, the first album, is in the top 50. Can't be another Dylan album. Come on, man. The guy's not the fucking god, all right? Getting upset now. Please Please Me album. I'm just going in past the last 50. Pink Floyd. Could Let It Be? Is it such a brilliant album that they're going to actually say that? Or maybe they already did? I'll go with Let It Be. I don't know what else to think with these guys. The Beatles, Sgt. Pepper. See, I didn't think of that album. Fuck. How could I not think of that one? That's the one that they're all freak out. Day in a Life. So here we go. After all these months of doing my show, the number 1 album is Sgt. Pepper's. Yeah, okay. Let It Be, Sgt. Pepper's. Let It Be, Let It Be. It doesn't really make a difference. It's just this guy's taste. And it was great. And, you know, 1967, the Beatles had 2, 3 years left before they imploded. And yeah, look, I mean, look, these guys found each other, John Lennon and McCartney, and then they found George and hired Ringo. So they, what a perfect mix of brilliant mix. With a little help from my friends, I did see Ringo do that on his on his solo tour, and that was a great. People say Ringo had a bad voice, but not. He did a good job on that song, and that's it. We're gonna find other things. Here's the people that voted. Let's see if they're. Lou Adler voted. He's a famous producer. I'm trying to think of any stands. Billy Joe Armstrong did some voting on this from Green Day. I'm just quickly going over to see if any big standouts. A guy from the Hives, Nicholas Arson. I saw the Hives live. Dick Asher, probably another. Yeah, Polygram. Irving Azoff, he was a huge promoter and chairman, Live Nation, the Eagles career. He manages all kinds of people and one of these brilliant guys. I'm looking just for names that I know. There's a lot of names. I might have to walk out of this deal. What did they do? Ask everybody that's ever been in the music industry? Oh my God, forget it. I'm not going through this. So Eddie G's Music World for another show. We'll find more things to talk about next week. I think the Grixter might be on tonight. Number one bad news show. So if he does do a live show, I'll either hear it tonight or I'll hear it down the line tomorrow. So I want to thank you all for listening and looking. And if you want to tell people about this show, let them know. Take care.